Great Wall of China now.
Yes, at least a small part of it.
Yeah, at least a couple of the watchtowers. So why am I starting with a picture of the Great Wall of China? And how does this relate to security, as my topic is? Well, first, it represents a good or bad example over what the result can be when relying and assuming that only one level of protection or security is enough to protect something. If we look what happened in the past, they built a wall, very impressive piece of wall to say the least. More than 6,000 kilometers, it's more than 7 meters high, it's wide, it's have more than 25,000 watchtowers. It's really massive and strong. It's supposed to be impossible to break through. And that was a belief. The emperor and the rulers thought that no enemy could ever get through this wall to defeat us. The protection was so solid, so we didn't need to be afraid or have an additional levels of protection. So what happened? Well, the Mongols bypassed the security by bribing the gatekeepers to open the gates. So in that way, it's also a very good example what could happen if you rely too much on just one level of protection. And you don't have any processes and safeguards in place to handle what could happen if your security isn't good enough, or you get a breach or whatever. And this also transfers in the modern IT, because the ordinary end user, they don't care about security. They don't have it in their DNA. They don't think about security. I would say it's rather few among us that actually do. It's kind of my type of person who work with it 24/7. I've been working for this for some 17, 18 years now. So I think about security all the day, but the ordinary user don't do it. To visualize this, I can give you an example of a study that was carried out in Luxembourg, a clinical study made by social engineers from the University of Luxembourg. They went out and asked customers, or not customers, ordinary persons, to reveal their login credentials, verified credential, username, password, in exchange for a small gift, a piece of chocolate. And the result was quite frightening, because if the chocolate was given out afterwards, almost 30% of the participants revealed their passwords. But if they had their piece of chocolate, their small bribe, given to them before, almost 50%, 47.9% of the participants revealed their passwords. And that is pretty bad, I would say. And there has also been other studies conducted with the same result. So you can rest assured that the ordinary user doesn't care about security. So today's topic, what is cyber resilience? Well, let me introduce myself. Soren Petterson, located in Stockholm, Sweden, working as a security principal within Micro Focus, primarily covering the Nordics, but I also do some work in the greater international area. 13 years within Micro Focus, before that as a consultant, product manager, and everything related to security for several years. So what is cyber resilience? Well, to start with, enterprise resilience is the ability for organizations to address different kind of risks. It could be strategic risk, it could be financial risk, operational risk, or maybe information risk in a good way to drive business, to ensure the business sustainability. Cyber resilience is the ability of an organization to enable business by preparing and responding to different threats, in this case cyber threats, of course, A cyber-resilient organization can better adapt to known and also unknown threats and challenges, and the ultimate goal is to help organizations to thrive in the different challenging conditions that is presented to them. It could be, for example, some financial crisis. It could be COVID, a pandemic, a totally set of new challenges presented to an organization. It could be financial volatility and different things. So how does cyber resilience differ from cyber security? We've been speaking about IT security and cyber security for so many years. So what is the difference? Cybersecurity consists more of technologies, processes, and measurements that are designed to protect IT system, networks, and data from cybercrimes. And effective cybersecurity reduces the risk of a cyber attack and protects the entities or its individuals from these different kind of threats, even if it's systems, networks, or technologies. Cyber resilience, on the other hand, looks at a wider scope when it combines both cybersecurity and business resilience, since it both helps the business to recognize that hackers have an advantage. You never know when the hacker will attack your organization. They have the element of surprise, and also the fact that the hackers can be successful in their attempt. So just because you have protection in place in different technical ways, it's not sure that you're safe from the actual threat. They can manage to do it and be successful. And the concept of cyber resilience helps business to prepare, prevent, and respond, and also successfully recover from different insecure states. So it's a cultural shift as organizations see security as a full-time job, and also start to working with security and cyber resilience in a way to think differently and be more agile on how to handle different kind of attacks. So it's not just trying to stop a risk with different cyber security technologies or process. It's also all the different parts. What could happen if? How will we react if? How can we mitigate this risk if this would happen, etc. And to be able to work with cyber resilience, you have to think in a different way. It's not that much just pure technology. Of course, technology is an important piece to support a cyber resilience strategy, but you also have to think it's in another kind of way. The first example is to be able to protect. Good cyber resilience strategy protects your systems, your applications, and your data. You need to also to ensure that only the right user can access your system, and also that you can track them whatever they are doing using identity or access management solutions, for example. You also need to be able to detect vulnerabilities in your applications to find the weaknesses before they might be exploited. And you also need to ensure the privacy of your data. It could be information about your customers, your employees, your organization, and its intellectual properties, and you must guard that information with the right level of security based on what kind of information you want to protect. The next component is to be able to detect when someone is trying to act in a bad manner against you. It could be very challenging because the attackers is more and more sophisticated in their way to work. Plus that these threats aren't limited to the outside. Some breaches begin on the inside. And the average delay in a breach detection and containment is 280 days. So that's a pretty long time, almost a full year. And during this time, different actors can be stealing and destroying data within your system, and you have no clue about it. So to handle and detect these security risks, companies must understand what data they hold, where it's located, and you also need to be able to map your data to understand if it's important, govern it according to different regulations, and minimize the risk of being non-compliant. The next concept is to be able to evolve. A major component is within cyber resilience is the ability to adapt and evolve your security to stay ahead of different threats, because the hackers are constantly finding new ways to exploit the vulnerabilities. And they know that there will be a fix for something that worked yesterday. So they are constantly trying to figure out what will be used tomorrow, what weakness can we use instead, if they're on another level of phishing or whatever, what can they do to gain access to your information and your data. A cyber resilient organization will anticipate that this will happen, that there will be new attack vectors, and to work proactive to trying to find different ways to handle those different risks that might be there in the future. And to evolve requires also the ability to quickly deploy and integrate existing and new services, both on-premise and in the cloud, to be able to adopt to different changing conditions, and not just bluntly relying on one process or one piece of paper. This is the way we need to do it. You need to be able to evolve and constantly adapt to different possible threats that might occur out there. To be able to measure how your cyber resilience maturity is, there are different ways to handle this. We are looking in our model on 7 different areas that we look into. The first one is the ability to strategize, to structure and use cyber governance and sensing capability to anticipate and address business needs or cyber events. Next one would be to withstand, to preserving cyber defense framework that can withstand different threats, to have a good protection. Then it's defend, your ability to defend against disruptive cyber events based on a active cyber defense. Inspect, real-time cyber visibility, looking at the threats when they occur through machine learning, having used different technology to do automated hunting and advanced situational awareness. Observe, to use automation, machine learning, use cyber threat detection to address future threats to the business. We're also looking at the ability to recover, to rapidly restore your platform and systems, to recover mission critical systems, to keep the business running. And finally, to adapt, to continuously assess and measure the state of cyber performance, and also to improve and support the business. So constantly looking, okay, what happened, what can we do better next time, and don't stand still, to constantly evolve your processes and technologies and everything. So it's not a one-shop stop, if we say so. So what kind of solutions can be used to enable and support cyber resilience? Well, first off, data security. to use data security to ensure and analyze that the data you have, as well as gain the insight to where it's located, so you can stay compliant with privacy and other regulations. We can use identity and access management to ensure that the right users can access the right set of information at the right time and right situation. We can use application security to develop secure applications and integrate that with your DevOps processes. To be able to teach the developers to find the weaknesses, do the testing continuously throughout the development process. Security operations, SecOps, to ensure that the resources is consumed in the right way. We can use both traditional security information event management technologies, SIEM, or we can use SOAR capabilities, meaning security orchestration and automation response solutions. And finally, we can also add artificial intelligence and machine learning to this puzzle, meaning that there are so much data, there are mountains of data out there that's being generated by different applications, security solutions, and the only way to be able to analyze what's happening within these data floodings is to use machine learning and AI to find the right information, find that pattern, and find those different vulnerabilities or risks as early as possible. So why care about this? What does this provide to the business? Well, first off, the goal is to, of course, have fewer incidents. Cyber resilience increases the organization's ability to prioritize and respond to different kind of risks. Another take on this is to minimize the risk of a data breach, to mitigate risks as early as possible, to work in a good way, and not relying on just cyber security, also working on the other parts when it comes to security, as I described previously. You can minimize the risk of a breach and thereby also hopefully having fewer fines and penalties. There are different regulations out there putting different demands on us nowadays, so we need to be able to mitigate those risks and also avoid having those fines and penalties or lawsuits. But it's also a question of reputation. In today's climate, customers are very keen about trusting organization with the data. I don't want to place my personal data in every place out there. I want to be in control of my information. I want to be able to trust a vendor that I use for my personal stuff. And in the same way, companies also want to make sure that the information that another company handles for them or processes or whatever also is protected in a good way. And that's something unique with Micro Focus. We don't just focus on the actual cyber security technology. We also work with the different process in the back end, how we can build and support this cyber resiliency concept in a better way, and help organizations to protect their companies from different kind of risks. And if you want to try more about this or read more about this, you can look into microfocus.com. There is a specific cyber resilience page. There are also a cyber resilience assessment that you can easily run through and see what your posture is against different threats that is out there, and if we can help you in some way about this. Any questions?
I don't think there are any questions at the moment,
Yeah.
Søren.
Agree on that. If there is something, I guess that you will have contact details presented some way during the session. I had to quickly cover for a colleague that had the flu, so I don't know everything about the introduction, what has been said before. So, but please contact us if there is something we can help you with.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Søren, for stepping in for Lars.
Well, thank you.